The world watches as Ukraine fights for its survival, a David against the Goliath of Russia. Zelensky speaks of an end to the war. His optimism stems from Ukraine's resilience. He pleads for increased military aid. It's about sending a message. Zelensky's optimism is a beacon in the darkness. Ukraine fights not just for its survival, but for its future, a future free from the shadow of Russian aggression. Zelensky presents his victory plan. It is a comprehensive strategy for ending the war. At its core is a plea for more weapons, but the plan goes beyond military aid. The world must unite in condemning the invasion. The victory plan is a bold statement of intent. Russia shows no sign of relenting. The stakes could not be higher. Zelensky's plea for more weapons sparks a debate. At the heart of the matter long-range missiles, these weapons could strike deep within Russian territory, shifting the balance of power. Ukraine argues they are crucial for its defense, but the prospect of such weapons worries some Western allies. The debate is not about abandoning Ukraine, it is about carefully weighing the risks and benefits of escalating the conflict. Some fear providing long-range missiles could provoke Russia, leading to a wider war. Others argue that Ukraine has the right to defend itself with all means necessary. This is a diplomatic tightrope. The Biden administration finds itself caught between its commitment to supporting Ukraine and the fear of sparking a larger conflict. The decision is not easy. It requires careful consideration of the potential consequences. The world holds its breath. The decision on long-range missiles could have far-reaching implications. It could determine the course of the war and the future of Ukraine. Will the West provide this controversial but potentially decisive aid? Or will caution prevail? The answer could reshape the geopolitical landscape. The world's attention turns to the United Nations. All eyes are on Volodymyr Zelensky. He stands before the General Assembly, a wartime leader thrust onto the global stage. His message is simple but powerful. Ukraine needs the world's help. Zelensky's address is a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict. He speaks of the lives lost, the families torn apart, the cities reduced to rubble. He does not mince words. He calls Russia's invasion what it is, an unprovoked act of aggression that threatens the very foundation of the international order. But Zelensky does not just offer condemnation. He presents a path forward. He outlines his victory plan, a blueprint for peace. He calls on the international community to stand united against Russian aggression. The world must choose, he says, between right and wrong, between justice and impunity. Zelensky's speech is more than just an address. It is a rallying cry, a plea for solidarity with a nation fighting for its very existence. The world listens intently. Will they heed his call? The answer remains uncertain. Seeking solidarity on American soil, Zelensky's diplomatic offensive continues. He embarks on a crucial trip to the United States, his mission to secure more support for Ukraine's fight. He comes not as a supplicant, but as a partner. He seeks to strengthen the bonds between Ukraine and the US. Meetings with key US officials are on the agenda. He will meet with President Joe Biden. These meetings are about building bridges and securing support. Zelensky needs more than just words of sympathy. He needs weapons, economic aid, and unwavering diplomatic backing. Zelensky's US trip is a pivotal moment in the conflict. The world watches, hoping for a sign of unity and resolve. Section 6, the Czech Republic's pragmatism, a sobering perspective on territorial integrity. As Ukraine fights for its survival, a dose of realism comes from an unexpected source, the Czech Republic. Czech President Petr Pavel offers a sobering perspective on the conflict. He suggests that Ukraine might have to temper its expectations regarding the full restoration of its territorial integrity. Pavel's words are not meant to demoralize. They are a frank assessment of the situation on the ground. Russia has entrenched itself in parts of eastern Ukraine. Dislodging them would be a monumental task, fraught with risk and uncertainty. Pavel's assessment highlights the complexities of the conflict. While Ukraine rightfully demands the return of all its territory, the reality is that a negotiated settlement might involve difficult compromises. The question is, how much is Ukraine willing to concede? Pavel's comments spark debate. Some accuse him of appeasement, others praise his pragmatism. But one thing is clear: finding a lasting solution to the conflict will require flexibility and a willingness to consider all options. Section 7. The relentless onslaught Russian aggression continues unabated. Even as diplomatic efforts continue, the war rages on. Russia shows no sign of letting up. Shelling and missile strikes continue to rain down on Ukrainian cities. Civilian infrastructure is targeted. Homes, hospitals, schools, all are deemed legitimate targets in Putin's brutal calculus. The human toll of the conflict mounts with each passing day. Thousands are dead. Millions have fled their homes, seeking refuge in neighboring countries. The lucky ones escape with their lives. Others are not so fortunate. They become statistics, their stories lost in the fog of war. The world watches in horror as images of the devastation emerge. The once vibrant cities of Ukraine are scarred by conflict. Buildings lie in ruins. Streets are deserted. The stench of death hangs heavy in the air. The relentless bombardment is a stark reminder of the urgency of the situation. Every day that passes brings more suffering, more death, more destruction. The world must act decisively to stop the bloodshed. Section 8. Scars on the soul, the human cost of a nation under siege. Beyond the physical devastation, a deeper wound festers: the psychological trauma inflicted on the Ukrainian people. The constant fear of bombardment, the loss of loved ones, the uncertainty of the future, these invisible scars will linger long after the guns fall silent. Children grow up too fast, their innocence shattered by the horrors they have witnessed. Parents struggle to shield their children from the harsh realities of war, knowing that the emotional toll will be heavy. The fabric of society is strained, tested by the unrelenting pressure. The world often focuses on the military and political aspects of war, but it is the human cost that is the most tragic. The shattered lives, the broken dreams, the enduring pain, these are the true legacies of conflict. The world must not avert its gaze from the human suffering unfolding in Ukraine. It is a shared responsibility to provide aid, comfort, and hope to those whose lives have been torn apart by this senseless war. Section 9. A looming crisis in Donbas. Can Ukraine withstand the pressure? The eastern Donbas region remains a crucible of the conflict. Russian forces, bolstered by fresh troops and equipment, have intensified their offensive. The strategic city of Vuhledar, a symbol of Ukrainian resistance, teeters on the brink. Military analysts warn of a potential collapse of Ukrainian defenses in key areas of Donbas. The loss of Vuhledar and other strategic cities would be a major setback for Ukraine, potentially shifting the momentum of the war in Russia's favor. Ukrainian forces, though valiant, are stretched thin. They face a relentless enemy with superior firepower. The situation is dire, and the need for reinforcements and military aid is acute. The fate of the Donbas hangs in the balance, and with it, the future of Ukraine. The world watches anxiously as the battle for Donbas unfolds. Will Ukraine be able to hold on against the Russian onslaught? Or will this become another tragic chapter in a war that has already claimed too many lives? Section 10. A diplomatic gambit. Zelensky's high-stakes mission to the United States. Zelensky's visit to the United States takes on added urgency against the backdrop of the escalating crisis in Donbas. It is more than just a diplomatic visit. It is a desperate plea for help, a gamble to secure the support Ukraine needs to survive. Zelensky carries the hopes of a nation on his shoulders as he meets with US officials. He needs to convince them that Ukraine's fight is their fight, that the fate of democracy itself hangs in the balance. He needs more than just words of support. He needs action. The world holds its breath, watching for any sign of a breakthrough. Will Zelensky's impassioned pleas sway the Biden administration? Will the US and its allies provide the weapons and aid that Ukraine so desperately needs? The stakes could not be higher. The outcome of Zelensky's diplomatic mission could determine the fate of Ukraine and have far-reaching consequences for the future of Europe and the world order.